Don, Splatoon might actually be fresh again, because I had a lot of fun playing all the way through Splatoon Raiders, including doing a few missions with you right before this review. So yeah, let's talk about it.
Yes.
How did you end up liking the game?
I liked it a lot. It's very different from what I'm used to. I have some thoughts on the Salmonids being the main enemy in this game, to be honest.
They're not very personable, I suppose, right? They don't have much of a personality.
No, they
Yeah.
do not. It's very they're just wacky bad guys.
Yeah, well, I definitely whacked at them, I guess, with all the weapons I had. Yeah, I would say I had a really good time with this game. It basically, to your point, it basically feels like Salmon Run on steroids. It's basically like a whole campaign kind of built around that idea, with a few other things mixed in as well. And I actually had a lot of fun with that, because I would say Salmon Run is my favorite mode that they've added, since Splatoon 2. So building a whole game around that idea, I think, is a genius idea. Playing with whether it's with friends or matchmaking with random people to help you out occasionally. I had a lot of fun with that, or even playing solo. Most of the game I did play by myself until I got to some really hard levels where I was under leveled. I'm like, let's call in a few people to help me out, which is, I love that as an option. And yeah, like, I think what this game really does is it really allows me. I mean, one thing I've really always liked about Splatoon is how the movement feels. The movement feels great, and I think this game kind of really helps that breathe without you getting steamrolled by snipers every 30 seconds, like when you're playing competitive Splatoon, right? And it just felt, I liked the freedom I had in movement. I liked how it worked with the combat, especially with the different arena types that they had. They had the whole underground segments, which felt a little Pikmin 2-esque, where you're going deeper and deeper underground, and without running out of lives. And I just liked how the whole thing came together for the most part. It just felt like it was just kind of pedal to the metal the entire time. Not a whole lot of time to breathe, except when you're on your ship. And I enjoyed that.
I like, so you say Salmon, I like it more to say Octo expansion or the main campaign of 3, which felt a bit more like mission based in how it was structured, where 1 and 2's main campaign were more straight corridors from point A to point B. I think I like the approach of Octo expansion in 3 a lot more. So in that sense, I also really like the mission structure in Raiders. The main twist really is how it frames the missions, because there's basically a couple of different elements to it. There's one that's more open field, where you get a bunch of crystals and have just a spree of getting as much materials as you possibly can. There's more of a traditional mission structure where you're going from point A to point B and basically have more enemy encounters than you used to. And then there's also more of the side missions, which basically feel like Octo expansion missions, where it basically focuses in on one element, and you have to deal with those settings the best you possibly can.
Honestly, for me, a lot of the campaigns in Splatoon run together now, even the DLC ones. I don't know if I even really fully played through the one in Splatoon 3. I did play Octo expansion, but at that point in time, I just wasn't feeling it. I couldn't tell you why. This is the first campaign that's really registered with me since Splatoon 1. It just really hones in on the combat for the most part, especially in... Go ahead.
Yeah, that was basically what Octo expansion sort of was. It was far more focused on smaller concepts, basically, or more focused on combat, or more of a variant mission structure, which sort of continued with 3. I feel this is sort of a nice middle ground between those two, but also feeling inherently different.
Yeah, why is that, you think?
I think it's purely because of the Salmonids. I think they needed a different structure altogether, and also with the fact that your character levels up, your weapons level up. There's different tanks now. There's no more sub weapons like they used to in the main games. They needed to sort of assist that in a way that made sense. And the Salmonids are like the perfect fodder for that, because Salmon Run fits more neatly in the systems they were trying to create.
Yeah, they really are just like endless fodder for you. I mean, this game is so freaking chaotic. There is so many enemies. They're really using the power of the Switch too, just to put an absurd amount of people on the screen at once.
Yes.
Erupting in a fountain of ink, I guess. And it's just it's to the point where at times, like, I don't even know what's going on right now, but I'm still liking it. Yeah, so I will say, Don, like, this is at its heart a looter shooter. The whole point is, like, you're you're continually playing through the game, getting more loot, upgrading, getting stronger. So if you reach a point where you are too weak, you just keep playing the game. Eventually you'll reach a point where you're powered up enough you can take them on, you know? And I think, you know, that type of gameplay hasn't historically appealed to me, but I really did like it here. With that being said, Don, and maybe it's because, you know, I really haven't gotten too invested in most other looter shooters. The only two marks I have against this game are that, one, I felt like the amount of customization slash upgrades were almost a little too much at points. Like, you have your tank selection, you have your upgrading the tank, you have your equipment or gear. You can equip the gear with their own individual parts, which you can then upgrade themselves. You have the weapons, which you can also upgrade individually. And it got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to keep experimenting. I'm just happy with what I have, and I'll just keep upgrading that, you know? And I think...
So, the replacement for the sub-weapons, the gadgets, have so many insane customization options.
There's a lot.
That it's almost an entire system in itself, right? Because next to like being able to upgrade the expansions on those gadgets, you can also like copy them. And once you copy them, they stack the effects. You can do some crazy things with it if you really spend the money to upgrading a specific set. To the point where, why would I focus on the 3 different tanks? Because it really wants you to focus on the 3 different tanks and upgrade all 3 of them.
Right, it almost, by the nature of the game, it almost locks you into a particular tank because you're constantly upgrading it, even though the game encourages you to try others. But I never really felt like, I never really felt that compelled to try out others. Now, with that being said, I did switch my primary tank at one point, but because I felt like I reached the point where I had to. But aside from that instance, I never really felt like I was incentivized to try out the other tanks too much. That being said, Don, I'm curious, what tank did you gravitate toward overall? Like, which one's your favorite?
Power.
Power. That's where I started. That's the one I locked into early on and used for most of the campaign, maybe 3/5 of it.
I will say the tactical, like, now post-game has become more interesting to me.
That's what happened for me. Power was working great until a point. I'm like, this isn't working as well anymore. I swapped over to tactical, and that's where I'm at right now. I'm loving the gooey bomb things that, you know, link up and blow up. And then also the, what's the other? Oh, and I guess the nozzle sprayer thing, the turret thing. That's the other one I've got equipped right now.
I also like the one that shoots a bunch of lines and all hits them while they're closing in on you. I forget its name, but that's also like a really helpful option, especially like in a very dense area.
Yeah, I think maybe that's just the density. Like, I found that as the game progressed, it was more important for me to get away from the action, and that's where the tactical tank really came in useful. If you find yourself in the middle of it, it can turn into a disaster very quick. I ended up like going from power to tactical. I like both though. Speed, I flirted with it. I never quite got into it. My only other complaint, Don, is I will say maybe around 4/5 through the campaign, I was about ready for it to be over. I'm like, okay, I've seen pretty much everything this game can offer, and I'm ready for it to be done. And it was done, you know, not too long after. But more my point is, it started to feel repetitive when it hadn't up till that point. Like, but at some point, I'm like, okay, I've seen like all this numerous times before. Let's just get it done.
I think the final portion of that game was unnecessarily harsh.
It's very harsh. That is where I definitely I have no shame in this. I called in support. I'm like, bam, we're calling in 2 other people to help me out because I need it. So
no, I think it was unnecessarily harsh to the point where, like, how would a single player be able to do this effectively?
I don't know.
They will need to grind a bunch and then go down.
That's a great point. Honestly, I think I said you would have to grind a ton until you're powerful enough to manage it yourself. And I didn't want to grind a ton. Like, I didn't feel like revisiting past levels, you know, doing all that stuff again just to, you know, just to beat this final challenge. I will say the final boss I thought was really good. Like that Eldritch horror type thing. Yeah, really good.
I don't think the final boss was really good. The only thing that annoyed me, though, and there's no spoilers, I'm not going to frame it as spoilers. I do think it's unfair that if you are, like, basically over in a section of the map, you basically have to do the entire stretch all over again.
For the final boss? I didn't even realize that. I got so lucky in that I got so close to death, you know, or losing, and I didn't. Thank God. That would have annoyed the crap out of me that I had to redo everything all over again. But that kind of speaks to your point too, because the level is preceding it the exact same thing. There's so many freaking floors. If you die at any point, you got to start the whole thing over again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that once again, that's just a thing for the final three-ish levels of that
I,
campaign. There was also not a lot speaking of that campaign, there was not that much lore compared to other Splatoon campaigns. Even like with Side
right.
Order or Octo expansion, it expanded on the universe of Splatoon a little bit. I felt this game did very little with
I can
that.
see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'll be honest, that doesn't bother me at all. I don't really care about the lore in Splatoon much, but if you do, there isn't a whole lot of it here. Unless you know, can glean from all the weapon descriptions or
Yeah.
item treasure you find, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's a post-human world, right? So it's fun to have an insight into that. That's what I like about the entire Splatoon series. It's basically try to revitalize a post-human
Right.
world, and that sort of they did not really
No, they
dive
didn't.
into that. And I think they could have done some fun stuff with like pirates
I
or
was
whatever.
waiting for you to find like a Wii U treasure or something. Maybe it's in there somewhere. I don't know. That would been great.
Yeah, that would
I
be
did like
fun.
the
Yeah.
overall presentation. Like, there's not a whole lot to the story here, but I did like the presentation. I like how deep cuts incorporated into it. I think this actually really helped like
Yes.
make them shine, even more so than Splatoon 3.
I mean, they didn't really have their own main campaign. They were just a side villain angle in the main campaign of
Right.
Free. So they were never integrated into an actual campaign
Yeah.
either. So it makes total sense to give them their standalone
And
game.
also, actually, that was the only part of the game that had, I thought, really good music. The rest of the music, I think it's not bad. I don't say it's bad, but it's almost more atmospheric than anything else. And I do kind of miss some of those beats from like previous Splatoon campaigns where like they did have really interesting music. Whereas here, I'm like, yeah.
It's very Salmon Run-esque
Oh, totally.
tones, right? It's very Salmonids X tones. It makes sense, complete sense for the game they're going for. Did I love the music? Not
I think that's
necessarily.
it. I mean, I get what they're going for, and it does make sense thematically. At the same time, I will never listen to it. I will never put it on Nintendo Music and listen to the soundtrack to this game.
Yeah, it doesn't. Once again, it doesn't hit the same as like other main campaign
Yeah.
music.
But yeah, I think, Don, overall, like, it's just a really fun game that really dials in on what makes Splatoon great. You know, like the movement, the
Yeah,
combat, the varied ways in which you have to go about that combat,
yeah.
especially, and the multiplayer. I mean, this is, you know, I think for me too, I kind of got burned off of Splatoon with just how sweaty the multiplayer started feeling. Like, it's just so fast paced, you're just blowing up constantly, or at least I am. I don't speak for everyone.
Hey, that me. I'm
Yeah,
sweaty.
you're
That me.
exactly. You're
That me.
why I don't play
Sorry.
Splatoon anymore.
Yeah,
And in this
yeah,
one,
yeah,
having
yeah,
that
yeah,
cooperative
yeah.
based campaign, I just thought was a lot more enjoyable. Even though it's still like
Hmm.
insane and chaotic, I like the fact that we were working toward a common goal, and
Sure.
it didn't feel like constantly being defeated. So I enjoyed just the overall feel of this game, and
I do.
I think it's a
Yeah.
promising like direction for Splatoon if they want to explore more
Hmm.
spin-offs like this. So.
I also think it does scaling really
Hmm.
well. So basically, how this game scales in multiplayer is that it scales based on everybody's levels, but it also scales based on on the difficulty you've chosen. So, for example, if I'm on easy and I am interacting with an enemy that you can see as well, I'm taking less shots to defeat that
Right.
enemy.
So it's individual basically, which is awesome. Like, it's really
Yes,
smart.
all the settings are still individual, but it takes into account of what you've chosen and what you're
Yeah,
comfortable
I
with.
like that. No, it worked really well. So how would you what's your summarized impression of this game? Do you want to see more like this?
I absolutely want to see more like this. I do think it's interesting the way they've chosen to present it, the way with the Salmonids. Once again, not the greatest fan of the Salmonids, but I'm acceptable of the fact that my opinion changed over time. Like I had to deal with learning the fact that sub weapons aren't a thing here anymore. I cannot throw a
Right.
bomb at a maw and be done with it. Like actually I had to shoot and use the gadget smartly to overcome
Yeah.
that. So like and that makes that game like really fun. That makes Raiders like really interesting to play. It feels adaptable to the way you want to play it.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. You kind of felt like more like you felt more directed in previous games, whereas here it feels a little bit more freeing with how many ways, how many weapons there are, how much gear there is, how much you can equip. Oh, we didn't talk about the weapons really, but I guess they're very similar to past games. But what weapons did you gravitate
Yeah.
toward?
Jet Squelcher, because I'm a sweaty Splatoon boy.
That sounds about right.
Jet Squelcher is a long range weapon where it basically shoots like, it sort of shoots like a splitter shot, but it's narrower and shoots further, which makes it very helpful to shoot enemies down from
Very
afar.
powerful, yeah, I'm all about the quicker weapons in general, / the sloppier weapons. Like any of the splatter shots I'm good with, or the juniors. Also the bucket. So I like those ones. Didn't really use much else during that campaign, so...
Fair enough.
But yeah,
fair enough.
There you go, everyone. Basically, Splatoon Raiders is just a really fun game, whether you play alone or especially with people, I would say, whether it's friends or randoms. Although the only, I do wish that they had dialed back the time limit of 30 minutes between raids or the others. Feels just a little, feels a little much.
Yeah.
And if not opening up entirely, make it like 10 minutes or something. But 30 minutes is a lot. Aside from that, though,
like to me, like the way you should have done it is. Have B killed like 1 or 2 times, and then be able.
That's a good one.
Like, I understand that you want to explore the level the first time as a single player to see if it sort of clicks that way. But if it doesn't click, I don't see the problem with locking it down for 30 minutes.
It's really silly too, because you can already play with friends through the entire campaign if you group up beforehand.
Yeah.
So why are you restricting those who may not have easy access to friends at the game versus those who do? I just don't understand it, and they should adjust that. But that's kind of like a minor problem. Overall, game's a lot of fun. I mean, and it shows to me that there's still a lot more you can do with Splatoon. So I would love to see them continue to experiment, do more games like this, because this is what I want to see. It's a really fun game, good online, good multiplayer. I had 0 issues online, no matter what. And yeah, I want to see more. So with that, I think we both liked it a lot. So good game. Check it out if you like Splatoon. Or even if you don't, maybe you'll like this one more than the others. So
very well possible.
On that note, everyone, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Have a good one, and bye. Stay fresh.